Wi-Fi Sheep would like to say a huge thank you to all of you that kindly support us. Help us continue to bring new videos like this. Join patreon.com/Wi-Fi Sheep from just $1 a month. Hi, I'm Tom and welcome back to Wi-Fi Sheep right here on YouTube. Well, we've finally got one. It came in the post a few days ago. We have a Raspberry Pi 400. So today we can actually open this up and have a look in person and see what we think. First impressions are very, very good, if I'm honest. I think this is a fantastic product. It's what we really wanted. For me, as I said in the last video, I've wanted something like this, an all-in-one modern micro for about 20 years. The situation for me is somewhat bittersweet, as this will no doubt supersede my own Micro One kit products. I have an announcement about that and a few other things at the end of this video, so make sure you do watch right through till the end. I'm also really pleased that although stocks do seem to have run out at major UK vendors for the Pi 400, I haven't seen any real evidence of scalping. I've had a look on eBay and there's a couple of units appearing on there, but the prices aren't that much higher. I honestly think don't pay over the odd prices for this. The major retailers obviously will get these back in stock before too long. The Pi 400 has clearly been an extremely huge success already, but don't be tempted by scalper prices. Just let units arrive back in stock again and take it from there. If you've already got Raspberry Pi 4 stuff like I have, then it probably works out just to go for the computer itself. They're about £50, but you have to add tax, VAT and shipping on top, so it came to about £70 here in the UK for me to order that through, but we got it, so we'll have a look. But before all that, with Christmas just around the corner, have you got your PCB orders in yet? If not, there's still time to join PCBGOGO.com. PCBGOGO's services include PCB manufacturing and assembly, component sourcing, functional testing and IC programming. PCBGOGO's manufacturing bases are equipped with the most advanced production equipment such as Yamaha pick and place machines, reflow oven, wave soldering machines, X-ray and IoT testing machines, all operated by highly skilled and trained technical personnel. PCBGOGO is the leading specialist in surface mount, through-hole and mixed technology PCB assembly and electronic manufacturing services, as well as turnkey electronic PCB assembly. PCBGOGO provides a fast and cost-effective online ordering services from prototyping to mass production. So join today. Sign up for your free account at PCBGOGO.com. Links and details are in the description. So here we are then. I've had this still wrapped up for a couple of days now while I've been doing the research and also some other work, so I've really wanted to get to actually opening this. So mine came from Hdmi, but there are many other vendors available. So let's see if we can open this up. Very well packed, I'll give them that. Amazing to think that, you know, you can buy a 4GB 64-bit quad-core computer and it literally can fit through your letterbox nowadays. That's obviously my invoice. It'll have my address on it, so we'll put that out of the way. And there we go. That's actually a really nice box, and it's even got the sort of side of the unit printed. There we are, and a bit of blurb on the back. Meet Raspberry Pi 400, your complete personal computer built into a compact keyboard. And there we are. So it talks about the quad-core processor, 64-bit processor, wireless networking, dual output, 4K video playback, and it's also watch videos, edit documents, and learn to program. So it's kind of going, I think I said this before in my introduction video when the news about this broke. It talked about, I thought it was going for two markets, being the sort of existing hobbyist STEM coding market, people like us, and the kind of general user IT document space, web browsing communities. and it has full spec here about the actual processor, which is quite nice, and we'll go over that in a minute, but I'm sure you want me to actually open up and have a look inside. So how do we get into this? Yeah, so don't rip that apart, it is just a sleeve. So got another white case inside. There we are. Oh, it's got a bit of weight to it. Let's put the case out of the way. Now, those of you that watched reviews from me before know it's the problem with this particular desk is it's actually a little bit warped, which means things don't appear to sit right. And I thought when I did the Commodore 64, oh sorry, the C64 originally, but the unit was warped. It wasn't actually the case, it was the table. So this is kind of doing the same thing, but I'm perfectly sure it's straight. So that's the keyboard. On the back here we have our CAT Ethernet networking port, USB 2, two USB 3s, power, the two micro HDMIs, that's obviously your SD card slot, and then you've got the 40-pin pin-out here. On the back you've got the label, made in the UK, which is, actually I'll show you that. Look at that, made in the UK, which is so rare these days. Nice plastic, nice rubber feet there, just two on the top and then two plastic stubs on the bottom. Keys, alright. I mean, it's a very, very thin keyboard, so it's not going to have a full mechanical clonk like you perhaps used to with the 80s micros, but it's better than the original ZX Spectrum rubber keyboard, I'll give you that. It feels quite solid. It's got a lot of weight to it. Size-wise, I'll just grab, I have here, here's my ZX Spectrum. There is an original 48K ZX Spectrum, and we're a little bit longer, but we're not as wide, we're just longer. So it's, you know, it's a good size. That's really going for it. I mean, some people are not going to like this keyboard, and you've got a function key, and then you've got a numeric keypad actually kind of here. So it is all there, but obviously it's a shorter format keyboard, but that's not so much a problem. Okay, so accessories to make this work. Now, I have literally just bought the computer unit. You can buy a complete kit. I've just bought the unit, so all you get is literally this computer unit. So what you need is a Raspberry Pi 4 USB-C power supply, like this one, the official ones, which once you get it out of the box will never go back in the box again. So this is UK spec 3-pin plug for the mains, and then there's the USB-C, which will go in quite happily like that, so that'll work. A mouse, again I'll just use one I've got off the shelf, USB mice, which is fine. So let's plug that into, let's put it into the spare 2 port, like that. Now video is a problem on this because of this use of micro HDMI, which means the standard HDMI lead ain't going to work. Again, the kit comes with the adapters, or at least one adapter to get video out. I have dug up a cable. This is off a Sony camcorder, and this has the micro standard to USB, both male cables. So that would go. Which ones? I don't know which is which actually. It hasn't labelled 1 and 0 on here, but we'll. I'll say that's 0 then. Yeah, it's not labelled which is which, I don't think. Unless I don't see. So anyway. And then we could take that to a TV. Or, what you can get are these. This has come from another vendor, the Pi Hut. And these are just the straight adapters. Got the plastic tap, and these allow you to have a plug that you can actually use existing cables with. So we could pop that in like that, and then we could actually use our standard HDMI cables at that point, or other adapters like a HDMI to VGA adapters. Now I use these quite a lot, and I've used these ever since the Pi first came out. Obviously you've got a lot of old square 4:3 aspect ratio flat screen monitors, or dare I say it, cafe ray tube CRT monitors with a VGA, then these should work. But of course now you've got one adapter, plug it into another adapter, and then we start to have this sort of train of video adapters and cables coming out of the unit. So it works, but that's slightly annoying if I'm honest. It would have been nice just to have had a standard HDMI in that we could have just plugged anything straight into, be it HDMI or if we wanted to use adapters, but oh well. Right, let's talk SD cards, because obviously this needs an SD card interface to work still. So if you boot it up, I don't think anything would happen without an SD card. I've been preparing some SD cards. Now, if you buy the kit, or you can buy the Raspbian, well, what formerly was Raspbian, now Raspberry Pi OS Linux operating system. That's the default OS, and it'll probably give you the best experience at the moment with using this unit. I've been cooking up some SD cards, so I've been trying, or will be trying, this is the new Raspberry Pi OS Linux. And I've also done here a RISC OS, although I'll have to come back to that because this one needs a little bit of work, and hopefully it will work. So in order to write these, I actually use the Raspberry Pi Imager software. We've covered this here on the channel before, and if you're connected to the internet, it works on Mac, Windows or Linux. And you can actually just flash your SD cards from your home PC, and you just have to choose which OS you want, and it has a library that it downloads. So I chose the Raspberry Pi 32-bit OS. Also, because with this unit you're likely to be taking SD cards out quite often, it's useful to have a little plastic container. This one was actually meant for a full-size SD card, but it's fine just to drop these in. And I've labelled it up with Pi 400 so I know what these images are for. And we can keep the cards together and safe until we actually intend to use them. So we take our SD card. Now this one, if I just show you, I've used a little bit of masking tape just to label up what it is. Again, it's a good idea to try and label up your micro SD cards if you can, because trust me, you'll easily lose track once you've got a few of them as to what's what. So underneath, and I think, do we go that way in? Which way do we go in? Oh, it has a click. The click function's back. Okay, are you ready to try again? And I've had to take the label off the SD card so it sits properly in the unit. I'm hoping that's in the right socket. Let's see what happens now. I'll power up. Ah, that's looking better. I'm noticing some life for the first time. Ah, okay. Obviously we've got a huge border around the screen, but okay, and the mouse is loaded in. So what, we're just about a minute and a half in. Click next. Use English language. So it says here about setup, and it asks you, is the screen showing black borders around it, which it actually is on this capture. So yeah, we'll say yes it is. It's going to try and search for networks. Now I am not going to set the Wi-Fi up just yet, and I haven't plugged a physical Ethernet lead into this. So it has actually found all the available networks, but I'm not going to do that now, so we'll skip that bit. We'll skip software update. And it'll ask just to restart, so we'll click restart and see what happens. Okay, so we're back in again. This might boot quicker, I don't know. Quite nice how the power LED seems to double up as an indicator as well. To be honest with you, instant sort of loading like the 80s computers did, where you just literally flicked a switch and it brought up a command prompt, is yeah, it's not as bad as it used to be, but it's still a bit unresponsive and slow in booting. Come on. Yeah, that's the one thing about what formerly Raspberry and now Raspberry OS that I took issue with. Ah, there we go, there's the dust. It's not as bad as it used to be by any stretch of imagination, but that's now gone full screen. Obviously the time's wrong, so there isn't a network connection, but we have a look. So we can open the menu, there we go. So it is a very basic setup. So you've got some programming tools, Chromium web browser, VCL player, graphics viewer, a couple of accessories. Yeah. Let's just go very briefly over the specifications of this again. So it's running a Broadcom BCM2711, which is a quad-core 64-bit system on a chip processor. It's an ARM Cortex A72, and it's running at 1.8 gigahertz, which is fast for this unit. 4 gigabytes of onboard RAM, that's the most I've ever had in a Pi. I know you can buy an 8 gig standalone Pi 4 now, but 4 gig, I think for this it's fine. We've already talked about the 2 USB 3, 1 USB 2 ports. You're missing a USB 2 port because the keyboard interface is hanging off another one of the USBs. So that's why there's like an internal, it's not actually a USB connection, it's using a ribbon connection, but it's using a USB protocol, so that's why you're missing a USB, but it's not a huge issue. We've got a micro SD card. It will do up to 4K output apparently. I don't think I've got a 4K monitor actually. I think I can go up to 1080 and that's about it. So, and it's got onboard Bluetooth, onboard Wi-Fi. It's also got a gigabit Ethernet, so it's a fast CAT direct Ethernet lead on the back. Or Ethernet port, sorry, on the back. And then of course we've got the exposed GPIO pins, and I'm pleased they did that. That means there is some functionality and tinkerability with this, so we can actually plug in to this if we wanted to do breakout electronics. And I can imagine, and I said this before, that you're going to have all sorts of new peripherals are going to be built, plug-in cards, cartridges, that sort of thing, just like the old 8-bit micros had their cartridges that plugged in. And you can all sorts of expandability stuff. I could see that coming on the market real soon. So yeah, that's cool. Now already with the launch of any new Pi, there's always questions about will it run RISC OS, or in our case, will it run RISC OS Direct? Well, officially, the answer is still no. RISC OS Direct does not have an official port to either the Raspberry Pi 4 or the Raspberry Pi 400. And I, like you, have been waiting pretty much all year for updates to come, and we're just not there yet. And I had a look around online, and some of the brilliant people in the RISC OS community have come up with a solution, including this third-party hacked ROM that will actually allow RISC OS Direct to run on modern Pi 4 and Pi 400 hardware. However, I must stress, this is an unofficial third-party ROM. It is not endorsed or supported by RISC OS Development, and I cannot support it here on Wi-Fi Sheep. So please, please, please don't ask me support questions or go after asking RISC OS Development or the author of this patch, because we can't offer any support. This will break some things on the system, and I know from a fact, I haven't tested it fully, but some stuff bundled with RISC OS Direct now won't work. However, if you can see past that and you do this at strictly your own risk, let me show you how to update a stock RISC OS Direct Pi image to run here on the Pi 400. So if we head over to the RISC OS Development's website, it's riscosdev.com. Again, links are in the description. We click on the projects, and then you have the download for RISC OS Direct. I would recommend using the mirror, and we click to download. Again, it may flag up about problems with the virus. Just click to download anyway. and that'll actually come down a lot quicker than it would most times on the main server. Okay, so I've got my RISC OS 527 Direct here. So we're just going to unzip that file and extract to an image file. Now we need to use Blina Etcher to write this one because the Raspberry Pi imager doesn't like this file for some reason. So select image, pretty much as before really. Click on desktop and there is our image file. Make sure you get SD card medias in, you're in the right place. You need at least a 16 gig card, which we've got. And then we can hit flash to start writing RISC OS Direct. Again, it'll ask you for, on the Mac at least, for password in order to do this. So just put password back in, and this will start flashing our card, which will take a few moments. So we'll come back when it's done. So while that's writing, you want to go via a web browser of your choice to svrsig.org/software/update.html. Links to this are in the description of this video. And there's a update 13, which is here. And this is for the Pi 400. And we want to download this image, which I have done. And I have it here as a zip. So we'll just extract that. Creates a folder. And this folder contains a boot directory, a loader, and in there you have a series of files which we need to put onto the fat side of our micro SD card once it's finished being written. Okay, so that's now successfully flashed, so we'll close. As before, we need to take the SD card out and put it back in if it hasn't mounted onto your system. And there's another PyBoot file. Now what we need to do is we need to make a copy of the command line.txt file, and we also need to make a copy of config.txt. Now click, drag and drop from our update 13 folder, asking it to replace everything again. Now, if we open command line txt, we just need to check that they are both the same from the original RISC OS Direct. And you'll see here there is actually a difference. We need to disable mode changes. So what we shall do is that we'll put our command line file back in and replace the one that's there. There we go, that's now replaced. And then we need to do the same to check with config.txt. So you can see the files are actually quite different. So what we need to do is we'll ignore this bit down here, but we will copy that and we will put that in, replacing all this with that file, save. Well, we now need to select which ROM we're going to use. So we're going to use the 400 ROM. So it's ROS 400, save. And we can now eject our SD card and we'll try that back in the Pi 400. Pop it back in, power up from the mains, and fingers crossed this hopefully will work. Okay, so it's found the EEPROM BIOS. Let's see what happens. Obviously some configuration settings are going to be a little bit all over the place. Okay, it's trying to find a network. So this prompt screen technically should be switched off, but we probably chucked our config file, which will explain why that's done that. So not to worry. Let's just see how far we get in. Okay, I think we'll hit escape. There we go. Click cancel. And okay, overall that's looking alright, other than obviously the boot screen's a little bit different. We can turn that off actually, so let's just boot to basic. That seems alright. Again, watch the num lock turning on. QUIT for quit. There we go. By the way, if we go into our settings under our configure and under keyboard, you can actually turn the num lock off and caps lock on if you want. Hit that as set. Also, it will notice that it defaults to UK. If you have the 400 with different configurations, you can actually set it up for the US standard, German, French standards, depending on what you're actually using. So you can customize. So we'll just set what we've got there. So that should fix that for next time. Can't guarantee all the software is going to work properly, but fundamentally that gets RISC OS Direct up and running. And if you want to turn off that boot screen, if we hold down function, go F12, and we type unplug boot FX, press enter again, we now ask the machine to shut down and we will restart. There we go. It's back to kind of how it was before. Obviously it's locking off, trying to find the network connection, so you can just tap escape, click cancel. That will turn off your network drivers though, that's the only thing to be aware of. But fundamentally there is RISC OS Direct now running on the Raspberry Pi 400, and if you change that software kernel to run on just a stock 528 ROM, then it would also boot on a standard Raspberry Pi 4 now as well. So we can now enjoy RISC OS Direct on the Pi 400 and of course the Raspberry Pi 4 for the very first time. Again, I stress what I've shown you is alpha quality, it's not official, and some things in the OS which I've not tested yet will break. So please back up any work you do and just treat the whole thing with kid gloves until we have a more formal official update. So there we are, the Pi 400. I honestly think this is going to be a huge hit. It is a game changer. When the Pi 4 originally came out, and those of you that know me from this channel will know I wasn't that impressed with it, and I did a video which got very mixed results, but I had major issue with the Pi 4, and to be honest with you, I think a lot of people did agree with me, because when I was going back to the Pi Jams, this is before COVID and we could all go out and meet, very few Pi 4s were showing up. A lot of the young kids were just like, we can't justify the cost of a board that doesn't seem to do an awful lot more than our Pi 2s or 3s. So you only had the odd adult buying them, which I was like, yeah. And I'm still not that convinced about the actual Pi 4B board. However, the Pi 400, because it's an all-in-one unit, it's going to be far more attractive to people who were just scared by the idea of a blank PCB, and they want something a little more proper, a proper personal computer. They've even put it here on the box, and I love the box, by the way. Personal computer, amazing. So I'm totally for it. I think we're going to see these. I think I'm going to see these in shows, especially next year, 2021. People are just going to buy these. It's going to be hugely popular, and it marks almost a coming of age for the Raspberry Pi into a full-blown retail product for the end consumers. So I'm all for this. There are some niggles with it. It's not perfect for everybody, but it's a huge step up. Now, I mentioned about the Micro 1.5 kit, which I think has probably come to the end of its life as a result of Pi 400. I did a kit that you could download and build an all-in-one micro type computer out of foam board, fit a third-party cheap-end keyboard, and you could fit a Raspberry Pi. It worked with Raspberry Pi AB Plus right through to, I suppose you could actually fit a Pi 4B in if you wanted. Well, I've decided it's come to the end of its useful life, so I've discounted it to £3, that's $4 on our Patreon. All the help from you on Patreon, it helps us back this channel and it helps me do what I do, so I really appreciate your support. You can join and find out at patreon.com/Wi-Fi Sheep. Staying with the Raspberry Pi 4 theme, coming up very shortly, I'm going to be doing a video talking about a new product that I've been involved with the development of. I've mentioned this before, but I'll show you again. This is the Forte, spelled 4TE, and it is a custom all-in-one desktop. So this is the first piece of official RISC OS Direct hardware to be released. It's being produced by a company called Arcomp Interactive. Links to this are in the description. These things are real, they're not vaporware, they're real, they don't need crowdfunding, it's all been funded, it's all sorted, they're here, they're out, alive. I've been involved with the design and the hardware, although I'm not selling them myself, I'm just part of the team who's, as well as bought you RISC OS Direct, the operating system, we can now bring you the Forte RISC OS Direct hardware unit. It's based around a Raspberry Pi 4 unit, although it is modified, and it's got additional hardware, including things like optional Wi-Fi for the very first time, and what we're calling an accelerator drive built in. So I'm going to be doing a video real soon where we'll go into real detail about this and where you can buy and order these. Hopefully, fingers crossed, you'll be able to get yours before Christmas if you're interested. The retail price is around £250, but it also comes bundled with £200 worth of exclusive RISC OS software and games. So really excited about that, and if you want something that's a bit more of a desktop unit, then the Forte is well worth a look. Well, that brings us to the end of this video, so hoping to do lots more with the fantastic Pi 400 in the coming weeks and months. If you're new around here, do not forget to like and subscribe, and I will see you real soon. Until next time, thanks so much for your company, and bye for now.